Speaking test instructions. The speaking test is 20 minutes. There are 8 tasks in the speaking test. Please try your best to answer all the questions.
Start speaking now. Time is up. 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 Hi there. I understand you're feeling overwhelmed with your workload and considering quitting your part-time job. Nevertheless, I think there might be some alternatives worth exploring before making such a significant decision, especially since you need the income for your upcoming tuition fees. First and foremost, have you considered speaking with your employer about reducing your hours temporarily? Many employers value reliable employees and would rather adjust your schedule than lose you completely. Furthermore, explaining your academic pressures might help them understand your situation better. Perhaps working fewer hours during exam periods and making up time during breaks could be a viable compromise. Another approach worth considering involves examining your current time management strategies. For instance, creating a detailed weekly schedule that allocates specific time blocks for work, study, and self-care might help you visualize and optimize your time. Additionally, identifying any activities that consume time without adding value could free up valuable hours in your week. Lastly, don't underestimate the importance of self-care during stressful periods. Despite your busy schedule, setting aside even small amounts of time for rest and activities you enjoy will help maintain your mental health and prevent burnout. Consequently, you'll likely find yourself more productive during your working and studying hours. Remember, this challenging period is temporary, whereas the consequences of financial stress might linger much longer. By exploring these alternatives, you can hopefully find a sustainable balance that allows you to meet both your academic and financial needs. Last year, I experienced a significant change when my company suddenly shifted to a fully remote work model due to the pandemic. Initially, this transition was quite challenging for me as I had always thrived in traditional office environments. Moreover, I had established strong face-to-face relationships with colleagues and had effective routines built around my office schedule. The first few weeks were particularly difficult. Despite having the necessary technology, I struggled with establishing boundaries between work and personal life since both were now happening in the same space. Furthermore, I missed the informal interactions with colleagues and found virtual communication less engaging than in-person conversations. To adapt to this new reality, I decided to take a methodical approach to rebuilding my work habits. First and foremost, I created a dedicated workspace in my home, which helped psychologically separate work activities from relaxation areas. Additionally, I established a strict schedule that mirrored my previous office hours, including regular breaks and a definitive end time to prevent work from expanding into my evening. This experience taught me several valuable lessons. Above all, I learned about my own adaptability and resilience when faced with unexpected change. Furthermore, I discovered that with intentional effort, meaningful professional relationships can be maintained even at a distance. Consequently, I've become more flexible in my work approaches and more appreciative of the benefits that different working models can offer. Although the adjustment wasn't without its challenges, I ultimately found that embracing change rather than resisting it allowed me to grow both professionally and personally. Therefore, when faced with future changes, I'll approach them with more confidence in my ability to adapt successfully. The image depicts a classroom scene where a young girl with vibrant red hair tied in a ponytail is standing at the blackboard, confidently pointing to a mathematical equation. Meanwhile, her classmates, consisting of both boys and girls of various hair colors, are seated at their desks, attentively observing her presentation. Although the mathematics on the board appears to be complex, the students seem engaged in the learning process, with some even taking notes or holding their phones, presumably to capture the information. In the doorway of the classroom, two adults, possibly teachers or school administrators, can be seen conversing while observing the class. Not only does this setting illustrate an interactive learning environment where students actively participate, but it also demonstrates how peer teaching can enhance educational experiences. Furthermore, the diverse group of students represents the collaborative nature of modern classrooms, where knowledge is shared openly among peers under the subtle supervision of educators. What makes this scene particularly compelling is the confidence exhibited by the young presenter, who, despite her age, appears to be explaining complex mathematical concepts to her classmates with remarkable self-assurance and clarity. Initially, the red-haired student will undoubtedly complete her explanation of the complex equation while her classmates attentively observe. Subsequently, the teacher will most likely provide constructive feedback on her solution, whereas the other students might raise their hands to ask clarifying questions. Meanwhile, the two adults visible in the doorway will either proceed to enter the classroom to observe the lesson more thoroughly or, alternatively, continue their discussion outside. Following this interaction, the instructor will presumably call on another student to tackle a different mathematical problem or, conversely, transition to the next segment of the lesson. Ultimately, this exchange demonstrates the collaborative learning environment where students actively participate in problem-solving activities. Consequently, this approach fosters deeper understanding of mathematical concepts through peer explanation and teacher guidance. I understand you're considering a homestay with a local family, but I strongly believe the on-campus dormitory would be a much better option for our university experience. Let me explain why. First and foremost, living on campus provides unparalleled convenience for attending classes. Unlike a homestay that could be located anywhere in the city, dorms are just minutes away from lecture halls, libraries, and labs. Consequently, you'll save valuable time on commuting that can be dedicated to studying or participating in campus activities. Additionally, this proximity makes it easier to return to your room between classes or attend last-minute study groups. Another significant advantage is the all-inclusive nature of dormitory living. Although homestays offer home-cooked meals, dorms provide comprehensive meal plans with various options available throughout the day. Furthermore, all utilities are included in the housing fee, eliminating the hassle of setting up and paying separate bills for electricity, water, and internet, something we would likely need to contribute to in a homestay situation. Regarding independence, which is limited in a homestay environment, dormitory living strikes the perfect balance between support and freedom. While there are resident advisors available for guidance, you'll have the liberty to develop essential life skills without the potential awkwardness of navigating someone else's family rules and routines. As a result, you'll gain independence gradually within a structured environment designed specifically for students. Therefore, while I appreciate the appeal of cultural immersion and home-cooked meals in a homestay, the comprehensive benefits of on-campus living, convenience, included utilities, social opportunities, and appropriate independence, make the dormitory the superior choice for our university years. Don't you think these practical advantages will contribute more to our academic success and overall university experience? I understand you're interested in a homestay with a local family, but I firmly believe that an off-campus apartment would be the better housing choice for our university experience. Let me explain why. First and foremost, an off-campus apartment offers significantly more living space and privacy than a homestay situation. While living with a local family might seem culturally enriching, the reality is that you would constantly be navigating someone else's established household routines and rules. In contrast, an apartment gives us the freedom to create our own living environment without the awkwardness of feeling like permanent guests in someone else's home. Consequently, we would feel more relaxed and at ease in our own space. Regarding social development, an apartment actually offers better opportunities than a homestay. By choosing our own roommates, we can create a living situation with compatible personalities and similar academic goals. Meanwhile, we would still have countless opportunities for cultural engagement through university international programs, language exchanges, and community events without the constraints of living under someone else's roof. I recognize that homestays typically cost less than apartments. Nevertheless, when you factor in the reduced independence, potential personality conflicts with host families, and limitations on guests and lifestyle choices, the additional cost of an apartment represents an investment in our comfort and development. Therefore, while a homestay might initially seem appealing for its cultural immersion and lower cost, the significant benefits of an off-campus apartment, greater independence, private facilities, chosen roommates, and valuable life skill development, make it the clearly superior choice for our university years. Don't you think having our own space to grow and develop would contribute more meaningfully to our university experience? Hi, I wanted to talk to you about something that's been bothering me lately. I've noticed that you've been contacting me frequently after work hours and on weekends about matters that aren't urgent. Although I appreciate your dedication to the team and our projects, these after-hours communications have been affecting my personal time and adding unnecessary stress to my evenings and weekends. First and foremost, I want to emphasize that I'm fully committed to my role and our team's success. Nevertheless, I believe we can maintain our productivity and communication while establishing some healthier boundaries. For instance, unless there's a genuine emergency, perhaps we could agree to limit work communications to business hours, generally between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays. I recognize that occasionally there might be truly urgent matters that can't wait until the next business day. In such cases, a text message or phone call would help me understand the urgency better than an email, which I might not see immediately during personal time. Additionally, clear subject lines with urgent or action required for time-sensitive matters would help me prioritize appropriately when checking messages. I hope you understand that this conversation isn't about reducing my commitment to our work, but rather about finding a sustainable balance that allows me to recharge and return to work fully engaged each day. By establishing these boundaries, I believe I'll actually be more productive and creative during our regular working hours. What are your thoughts on this? I'm open to discussing different approaches that might work better for both of us while respecting the need for work-life balance. I've been thinking about our after-hours communication, and I'd like to propose a company-wide policy that could benefit everyone while addressing some challenges I've observed. Rather than focusing on individual preferences, a standardized approach might create more clarity and better work-life balance across the organization. First and foremost, I've noticed that after-hours messages have become increasingly common throughout the company, creating an implicit expectation of 24/7 availability that isn't sustainable for most employees. Although dedication to work is valuable, research consistently shows that sufficient disconnection time is essential for maintaining productivity, creativity, and preventing burnout. My proposal is to implement a company-wide communication hours policy with clear guidelines about when employees are expected to be responsive to non-emergency messages. For instance, standard communication hours could be 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. on weekdays, with the understanding that messages sent outside these hours typically wouldn't require response until the next business day. Additionally, we could establish protocols for genuine emergencies, such as using specific subject line indicators or text messages for truly time-sensitive matters. To implement this successfully, I envision a phased approach starting with department-level discussions about communication needs, followed by drafting guidelines that accommodate essential variations while maintaining core principles. What are your thoughts on developing a more structured approach to after-hours communication? I believe this represents an opportunity to enhance our workplace culture while supporting employee well-being and sustainable high performance. I believe there needs to be a thoughtful balance between saving for the future and enjoying life in the present, though the optimal approach varies based on individual circumstances and life stages. First and foremost, establishing some financial security through savings is essential for well-being. Without an emergency fund and basic retirement savings, present enjoyment is often undermined by financial anxiety and vulnerability to unexpected expenses. Furthermore, early saving is particularly powerful due to compound interest. Money invested in your 20s can grow significantly over decades. Consequently, neglecting future planning entirely for immediate gratification often leads to much greater sacrifices later in life. Nevertheless, focusing exclusively on saving while postponing all enjoyment represents another type of imbalance. Life offers no guarantees about longevity or future health, and many experiences, such as travel adventures, physical activities, or time with aging relatives, may be more accessible or meaningful during specific life phases. Additionally, modest spending on experiences that bring genuine fulfillment can support mental health and prevent the burnout that often accompanies extreme frugality. The optimal approach likely involves thoughtful intentionality rather than all-or-nothing thinking. This means critically examining both saving and spending habits to ensure they align with personal values. For instance, automated retirement contributions and emergency fund building can provide future security, while a carefully considered enjoyment budget allows for meaningful present experiences without derailing long-term goals. Therefore, while I believe financial security should be a priority, I also recognize the importance of meaningful present experiences. The healthiest approach involves creating systems that protect future stability while intentionally allocating resources to experiences that bring genuine fulfillment rather than fleeting gratification. Above all, this balance should be regularly reassessed as circumstances and priorities evolve throughout different life stages. Hey Alex! You won't believe what I just saw today. I was driving through the countryside when I spotted this absolutely bizarre vintage car. It was this beautiful light blue classic from maybe the 50s, but get this, someone had actually built a tiny house on the back of it. I'm not talking about just a camper attachment, it was a proper little cottage with blue walls matching the car, shingle roofing, windows with shutters, and even a brick chimney. The whole thing was parked in this gorgeous wildflower meadow that made it look like something straight out of a fairy tale. Whoever created this must be incredibly creative. I've never seen anything like it. It's like someone decided to combine tiny house living with classic car restoration in the most imaginative way possible.